Good Erev Shabbos, everyone. Parshas B'Shalach, Shabbos Shira, Shabbos after Yud Shvat. So a quick word also to go back a bit on last week. The Gemara tells us a story about I think an Amora that had a surprise guest that came to visit him, and he had a whole meal ready for him. And the rabbi asks his colleague, thank you so much, but where did you get all this food? How did you have all this food prepared? You didn't know I was coming. And he says, actually, the food was prepared for Shabbos. And when you came, I used the meal for you. And we learned this week in Sanhedrin, there's a Machlekes Abai and Rava about Hazmana. If someone set something aside, seemingly that this is set aside for Shabbos, how could he use it? And the answer the Rebbes says is that because a person, a Talmud Chacham, is considered like Shabbos. And therefore, even though the food was officially put away for Shabbos, but a Talmud Chacham was like Shabbos. Last week in the Kutei Torah we learned that the Alter Rebbe says an amazing thing about Moshe Rabbeinu, that Hashem has one of the ideas that makes us to commit ourselves to Torah mitzvahs is the realization of that Hashem puts away his own interest to have a relationship with us, and that relationship is built through Torah mitzvahs. And there, the question the Alter Rebbe asks is that we find that Hashem says certain wordings to Moshe, like Kaddish Li Kol B'char, and when Moshe gives over the message, he says his own wording, Zachar Siyayim Hashem, remember the day Hashem took you out of Mitzrayim. So why does Moshe change the rhetoric from what Hashem says? And the answer that Alter Rebbe gives is that Moshe Rabbeinu, just like Hashem, has to put aside his great manifestation, the great Or Ein Sof, in order to come down within this world, so we could have a relationship with him through the mitzvahs that seemingly are regular laws of interaction between people or damages, etc. That also to Moshe, that's his job as the leader in the in-between of Hashem and the Jewish people, to sometimes break that message down, because the point is the message has to be received. And if Moshe talks over the people, then the people don't have a relationship with Hashem. And therefore Moshe sometimes has to figure out to break the message to make it receivable. Same thing we find very interesting that the Rebbe spoke about we spoke about it last week, about in Beshalach, when the Jewish people come to the Yam. There's four opinions. One opinion says that we should jump into the sea. The other opinion says let's return to Mitzrayim. The third opinion says we should wage war. And the fourth opinion says we should daven. And God tells Moshe Rabbeinu, Daber b'nei Yisrael v'yisou. We spoke about this last week, that tell the Jewish people they should move forward. And then the Sikha that the Rebbe talks about, and the Maimer really, of this year for your Shvat, the Rebbe's message is that the perception that the way we see things, that we see a world, we see the water, and the water covers everything, and we don't understand anything, we don't see the godliness, we are not able to find godliness in the world, so that limits our options of how we're supposed to move forward. And therefore we see the world with problems, and therefore we have to figure out how we could navigate in the issues. But when we submit ourselves to the message of Moshe, and we realize that Moshe is communicating to us the message from Hashem, so Moshe Rabbeinu tells us, move forward, stay focused, stay on your path to Matan Torah. And then what happens is that the waters that are covering and concealing everything all of a sudden split open. And from the waters comes dry land. And we start to see the Yad Hashem, we start to see the Dvar Hashem, the word of Hashem. And instead of the world being a world of obstacles and our maneuvering around, we start to realize that actually we have opportunities. And every time we face what seems like a challenge, it's really an opportunity for us to bring godliness and to reveal godliness into this world. And we do it with simcha. We don't walk in there, we're not miyuyash, we're not giving up. We have a tremendous energy to serve Hashem. And this is really the idea of Kriyas Samsif. We find that it says in the Az Yashir, Sus v'rachvai rama vayam. And the Alter Rebbe says also that Sus and Reichav is the words and the person that uses their own intellect within the words. And when it comes to serving Hashem, so we have a kind of a double job. One job is to take our own horse and our own rider, throw that into the Yam of the unknown, in the Yam that's beyond the world. And then when we face the world, when it looks like a Yam, a sea to us, we're supposed to split the sea and reveal godliness. Take our own wants and throw it into the higher sea, and take the world that looks like a sea and open it up and split it and show the revelation of Hashem. And this is the tremendous message that Rebbe gave us that year in Yud Shvat. And it's the message of Shabbos. The Rebbes says in the Maimer that our job is to get to Shabbos, to get beyond time. That even the highest movement of Ratzi V'Shuv, of moving forward and back, is not Shabbos. Shabbos is an entity that's beyond even the concept of time. When a Talmud Chacham comes to the house, it's Shabbos. The message of Moshe Rabbeinu is Shabbos. We finish off with this beautiful word the Alter Rebbe says about this week's parsha. We learn about the man. The Alter Rebbe talks that there's two opinions of how we're supposed to place the challahs on Shabbos. One opinion is the right challah is over the left challah, because that's the way things are in this world, the world of Seder Shtalshlus, of the way the chain of creation. The Zachar, the male, gives to the female. The higher level comes down to the lower level. But Kabbalah, and so too the Alter Rebbe Paskins says that the way Chassidim do it, is that we don't put the right challah on top of the second challah. We put the two challahs equally. Because Shabbos represents a time that's beyond this world. Shabbos represents a time of the time of Mashiach, when male and female will be equal. There will be no longer mashpia makabel, giving and receiving. I want to wish everyone a good Shabbos. Shabbos Shira is a tremendous Shabbos, through energy, through song, through simcha, like the Rebbe says. We march through simcha, the sea splits open, and we should be zoicha, that we should live in the time of Shabbos. Yom Shekul Shabbos, the Yom Shekul Shabbos, Good Shabbos, and good happy Shira.